It's been a few weeks, but we are going to get back into a series that I started a long time ago, the Gospel of John, or the Good News according to Yohanan. And if you haven't been watching these or listening to these, you need to go online onto finishwork.com and contact us or give us a call so we can kind of get you up to speed, because a lot has happened so far in this book. And we're getting close to halfway through it. We're going to be in chapter 9 today, which is pretty close to in the middle here. But again, I'll just recap real quickly. The Gospel of John is a little different than the others. There's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And Matthew, Mark, and Luke are synoptic. John is not. They're the first three, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, are very, very analytical, almost biographical, very, very detail-oriented. They paint a very clear physical picture. John is a little different. John gives you a deeper, broader perspective. And so as we're going through this thing, don't just read it and hear it and listen to it on just only the physical level. It's not just a historical book about the life of Jesus. Hear it a little deeper about what's going on in your heart and spiritually. All right? So I'm going to pick up. We can't just start in John chapter 9. I'll show you why. Okay, look at it. And the first word, John chapter 9, verse 1, starts with "and." How many of you ever start your stories that you're telling somebody? Hey, man, I got something I want to tell you, okay? And? Do you start your stories with the word "and"? Or back in chapter 8, I think it started with "but." Chapter 7 started with "and." So you see, this is like one long story, and you kind of got to back up a little bit to kind of get the flow of the context here. So let us back up one verse. You do realize, I hope, that when this thing was written by John, he never wrote this in chapter and verse. He just wrote a story. The translators broke it up. They broke it up into chapters, and they broke it up into verses. It wasn't written that way. So to get the flow of this, let's just back up into chapter 8, verse 59. It's talking about some angry Jewish people that were so mad they were ready to throw rocks and kill Jesus. So therefore, they picked up stones to throw at him, but Jesus hid himself. And he went out of the temple, and as he passed by. See how they fit together? And as he passed by. So let's get the flow here. These guys at the church, at the temple, they picked up rocks. They were going to kill this woman who got caught, who got busted in an immoral affair. And she was guilty of the law, and they were going to kill her. But based on what Jesus said, look, I'm not here to condemn you. Go and sin no more. They laid the rocks down. Guys, whichever one of you guys can throw the first rock because you've not ever done anything wrong, go ahead, throw the rock. So they all lay down the rocks. But then he goes on and tells them, we have to read chapter 8. Gets to the point where he makes them so angry, they were ready to pick up bigger rocks and kill him this time. And it says he hid himself. Now, what that's really kind of painting a picture of, it wasn't like a mystical movie where he just disappeared. There was a crowd of people in the temple, and as he kind of went through the crowd, making his way to the door, they couldn't find him. It's not that he became, invisible or something, but as he was passing through this crowd, they just really didn't keep up with it. But they knew he left because they got behind him and chased him down the road. But they couldn't catch him in the temple to kill him, is the whole point. And so he leaves the temple. The temple is in town. Big temple in Jerusalem. Pretty good sized city. He leaves the temple and he's walking down the road, and he passed by a man blind from birth. See, that's what I explained it, but I want you to see what it says. And he passed by. It's not like him and his guys were just strolling through the park one day, just la la la, just walking around, nothing happening. Oh, there's a guy that was born blind. Let's stop here. He'd just come through the temple, and there's guys behind him with a bunch of rocks wanting to kill him. And he's walking through town, and as he passed by, he saw this guy, and guess what? Excuse me. He stops. And the disciple said, Rabbi, who sinned? A or B? This man or his parents, that he would be born blind? Time out. You think, well, that sounds like a stupid, redundant kind of question. No. There's still a lot of people today that even believe that. There are two theoretical theories here that were predominant. And again, here, don't just see this thing historically. See a picture. There are still people today that think that when a child is born with a deformity or a problem, physical deformity or blindness or whatever, highly delayed or retarded or a lot of different things, there are some people who still believe today. They would ask the same thing: who sinned? This guy? What does that mean? They believe in predominant lives. They believe in coming back again, living over and over and over. There's a lot of people that believe that then, and there's still people that believe that today. That you could sin, that in reincarnation, that you could have lived in a prior life and messed up so bad and committed so much sin or done so many wrong things that when you died and you went back into the big recycle bin and you come back to earth to live, excuse me, in another life, that this time you would be born handicapped because of some bad things you did in your previous life. That was one of the things they were asking. Jesus, who sinned? This guy? Basically, parenthetically, in a previous life? Or his parents? What does that mean? There are some people who are so religious then and now that would tell a couple that had premarital sex and started making a baby before they were ever even married, and they had a baby that was born with some deformity or some problem. It happened then and it still happens today. And so, well, it's because you guys were immoral. It's because you guys got together before you were married. That's why you have a retarded baby. See? Happened then, it happens now. And so those were the two options. Jesus passed by and there was a guy just sitting there. And I don't know if he had a can of pencils he was selling. I don't know if that's what he did for a living. But get the picture of Jesus leaving the temple with his boys, his 12 guys behind him, maybe an angry crowd back a ways, looking for him. And kind of just comes to a stop. It gets quiet, awkward. And so they said, well, here's another thing I think. Maybe back then, it's a picture of what people still do now. Whenever they're in an awkward situation, they try to impress you with some deep theological question. Well, Rabbi, why is this man born? Because of his sin or the sin of his parents? See how ridiculous that could be? No, I'm not laughing too much. All right. But Jesus said, and this is one of those scriptures that gets taken out of context and twisted. I'm going to read it how it usually gets twisted, then we're going to break it down. Jesus said it was neither this man's sin or his parents, but it was in order that the works of God might be displayed in him. Do you get that? I have heard it over and over and over, where they say, the reason that this person is born with a deformity, it's not because of sin they live, in this reconciliation kind of lifestyle thing. It's not because of their sin, and it's not because of their parents' sin. But they'll tell you this, they say, it's because God created this to want to show you something. Y'all heard that? It's not reincarnation, and it's not because his mom and dad were having an affair, but people are born with deformities because God created the situation so he can show you something. You ever heard that stuff? Okay. That's a bunch of, can you say crap in church? You can't.